So today we will discuss about compensated demand curve, and here I am making some points to make it a little bit easy to you. So let's start it. Compensated demand curve. So what is compensated demand curve? If you will see, then the compensated demand curve is a demand curve which is ignore the income effect and taken into account to the substitution effect. And as we all know that income effect and substitution effect, it's both are combination of price effect. It means that's why the compensated demand curve compared to income effect and substitution effect, at which it's totally ignores to the income effect and taken into account only to the substitution effect. And this is the first point. And the second point says that it shows that how much quantity would be purchased by the consumer if there is the real income will be eliminated. So what is real income? If you will see, the real income is the income. Suppose there is price of a commodity is 50 and there is the consumer's purchasing power also 50, and because of some reason if there is fall in price of commodity from 50 to 40 and still the consumer's purchasing power is 50, then there is difference between 50 and 40 is 10th, and that 10th is the real income. Because whenever there is fall in price level of that particular commodity, the consumer with that constant purchasing power, he can consume more quantity of that commodity in comparison to before. Okay. And after the eliminate this real income, if there is remove that real income from that consumer, after that how much he will be purchase of that consumer good, that is known as that is consumer compensated demand curve is measured. Okay. So then logically what will be happen if real income will be eliminated, the consumer will consume again as the same as the before. Alright. So for example, I already explained this example, which is I am giving it below. So suppose price of a commodity is 50 and purchasing power is 50, and if there is difference, if we define, then 50 between 50 minus 40 is 10, and that 10 is the real income. And with that real income, the consumer can consume more amount of that particular good with same purchasing power. And if we will eliminate that real income, then consumer will again consume at same before. This example is clarify about compensated demand curve. Now we will define this with a graphical method. So here the graph, and in this graph the vertical axis is represent the good y and the horizontal axis represent the good x, and IC curve is the indifference curve which is tangent to the LM price line or budget line at point A. And this A point is defined that the consumer consume with maximizing utilizations, and here the consumer satisfy with consume same amount of good y and good x. And at the B point we will see that if there is the price of the commodity will increase, then what happen, there is a new price line will be create, and at the increasing price of bx1 of good x, the consumer consume ox1 of that, and the quantity demand will be ox1, and the price line will be, and the price of that commodity will be bx1. It means the consumer, when there is price line, when there is price will be increase of a commodity, the consumer will consume less amount of that commodity. So that in the before situation, in the before the consumer consume ox2 at point A, but at point B he'll consume less amount of ox1. And at this C point we find a new price line where it shows that at C point the consumer consume OX3 amount of good X, and CX3 is the price of that good X. It shows that with the fall in price of good X, CX3, the consumer will consume more amount of that OX3. Alright, so whenever there is increase in price, the consumer will consume less amount of that good, and whenever there is fall in price, the consumer real income will be increased and he will consume more amount of that good. Alright, if there is eliminate that real income, the consumer again will consume as before situation or first situation at point A, which is consume OX2. After eliminate the real income, he again will be consume OX2 amount of commodity good X, and it shows that at A point the consumer maximizing utilization, and at this point he totally satisfied with same amount of price of a commodity, and at this point the consumer consumes same amount of that commodity and with same amount of purchasing power. So this is the satisfaction point, which is A. So this is all about this graphical method and compensated demand curve. So this is it. I hope you all are getting this point. The whole notes I'll provide in the end screen of this video. You can go and check it out. So yeah, we will meet in the next video with a new topic. Till then, thanks for watching.